Welcome back to the ARCA post-race show, Elko edition. I'm Casey Campbell, and joining me, of course, is Garth Allen of Racing News Now. Garth, where can people find you?
YouTube.com/Racing News Now.
All right. Well, that was a fun race. And anytime we go to a short track, that was a fun race. But the ending was interesting. Of course, Corey Heim doing the power move on Ty Gibbs to get by and get the win. That's good stuff right there.
You know, and I was saying on the watch party last night, because we always do a watch party on RNN for all these ARCA races that I'm not physically at. I was saying on the watch party that during that final caution, I was like, the only chance Corey is going to have is to basically pull a bump and run into one on the restart. And that's exactly what he did. He executed it perfectly. He didn't wreck Ty. He just moved him out of the way. It was perfect, quintessential short track racing. He did exactly what he had to do, goes on to win the race, extends his points lead. I don't know that you could have asked any more if you're a Corey Heim fan. That's exactly what he needed to do.
Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, we talked on after Pocono that we had all these short tracks coming up. Corey would have to win on at least one of them. He did. I mean, Corey's won 2 in a row now. So Ty can just go out and, win all the time. But, now the momentum kind of changed, do you think, a little bit?
I think it's changed a little bit. I still wouldn't be surprised to see Ty go out and win at Berlin this week. But what I noticed last night, and it may have just been a one-night thing, it may have been a fluke, but it seemed like Venturini Motorsports has gotten a little better, and they've closed the gap a little bit to that 18 car. The 18 car is still better overall. Ty ran away from them for most of the night, but he didn't have the short run speed, and that was his downfall last night. The interesting thing is, though, it does seem like Venturini has gotten closer to Gibbs. Now, is it close enough to make a difference for the rest of the season? We'll have to wait and see on that, but it's going to be fun to watch nonetheless. And I think they've closed the gap enough that with Corey Heim's talent level, he can make up the rest of that difference going forward.
Yeah, I think a 7-point lead heading into Berlin. We're at, after Berlin, we'll be at the halfway point of the season, and I think that everybody thought that Ty would have this big points lead, and you've said that this could be a championship battle to watch, and it's turning out that it's going to be.
A lot of people, even up to right now, sleep on Corey Heim, and I don't think a lot of people realize how good Corey actually is. And I've said for a while now, Corey is right there on that talent level with guys like Ty Gibbs, Sam Mayer, Taylor Gray. He's right there in that. I don't want to necessarily call it elite, but I mean elite for that level of racing. He's got the talent level that he is. Like I said earlier, he can make up that difference that Venturini is lacking equipment wise to Gibbs. He can make up that difference and still be right there with Ty. And we've seen that through 9 races. Ty has not led the points once to this point. He's had a tie at one point, but he has not actually led the points yet. So Corey is really showing right now, even with a car that is not quite as good as what Ty has, he's still showing he can outrun Ty a lot of the time.
Yeah. And there was a few other interesting things that happened last night. I mean, Taylor Gray's first race back from his injuries. Daniel Dye, his first ARCA race, and there was some interesting things there. What other things that apparently there were a lot of people that got into each other last night?
It's a short track race. That's going to happen.
Yeah.
One thing that stuck out to me was how aggressive Thad Moffitt was being very early in the race. And it came back to bite him when he apparently got Jesse Love pretty mad, and Jesse ends up turning him. And this was at lap 40 something, 50 something. It was very early in the race, that a little earlier than I thought probably you should have been as aggressive as what Thad was being. It got pretty heated very early in this race, and that level of of excitement just kept building throughout the entire race.
Yeah, I know he and Daniel Dye had some discussions. Taylor Gray and Ty Gibbs, that was interesting as well. Um, and overall, but going back to Venturini, you mentioned Jesse Love. Also, Gracie Trotter did well too. Second and third, both of them got I think, their best career ARCA finishes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3 for Venturini last night. Best career finishes for Jesse and for Gracie. Great nights for both of them. I think Jesse probably had the next quickest car to Ty last night. So if it had come down mano-y-mano on that last restart and Corey hadn't pulled the move that he did, Jesse might have actually won that race. And then Gracie kind of came out of nowhere. Gracie is one that I don't think gets as much credit as she deserves. I've seen a lot of people talking about how she's overrated and that she's not as good as what people think she is because of how she's finished this year. She hasn't gotten to finish a race this year until now. Every race, she's either had a mechanical issue, she's gotten caught up in a wreck, something like that. This is the first race she's actually gotten to finish. And to come home in third, that's really good. And that shows that she does have the talent and that people are judging her too quickly on things that are out of her control.
All right, we're going to go to Berlin next week. Of course, the Zinsser Smart Code 200 at Berlin Raceway over on the west side of the state, and of course, where I live in Michigan. And that should be another. That's going to be a really, really interesting race. First time that ARCA has been there since that elusive 2018 race, of course, that you were there at, and I'll get with Charlie about on the ARCA preview show this week. What's it going to be like to have ARCA return there?
I think infamous is a better word to use for that 2018 race. It's going to be fun. If it's anything like 2018 was, sparks are going to fly. And especially after the finish that we saw at Elko, I'm expecting sparks to fly between the 18 and the 20. Things are going to get heated. It always seems to at Berlin. And I think we're going to have a continuation of what we saw at Elko, and things are going to get interesting. I'll put it that way.
I bet they are, and we can't wait to figure it out. Of course, next week, MAV TV will air that race. Garth Allen, thank you so much for coming on. This has been the ARCA Post Race Show.